How we doing, folks? Welcome to the heart of cycling. Doing something a wee bit different today. I'm heading into town on the bike, and I thought I would just show you some of the cycle lanes. It kind of got me thinking. I was listening to the radio, and they had a feature on the cycle lane in Greenock, right? And of course, the radio is playing it up as being a big stooshy in Greenock. The shop owners are all bent out of shape because they say they're losing business. The cyclists are bent out of shape because they say the cycle path's a waste of time anyway. There's always vans parked in it. So neither side is happy. And of course the radio just sees an opportunity to get angry people pitched against each other and then getting listeners to chime in with their thoughts. And it's just kind of tiresome, you know. I think we can all agree that, you know, if you build good cycling infrastructure, people will use it. And I don't think there's any better example in Glasgow than this. It's just by Queen's Park in Battlefield, and the path goes from here, just across from the new Victoria Hospital, along the side of the park, and then turns onto Victoria Road. And you can now cycle all the way into town on a proper segregated path. And you know, that's like the gold standard for cycling infrastructure. If you actually want people to use it, you cannot just put a lick of paint on the pavement and expect cyclists to feel safe. Not the way people drive, you know. Glasgow is no different from anywhere else, I don't think. Drivers will just go anywhere they can and behave in any way they can if they're given the opportunity. But if you put in a proper segregated path, which they can't get into, then cyclists have got a chance. And the numbers speak for themselves. You know, there was data collected which said that now there's been more cyclists recorded going down Victoria Road than car drivers at peak times. So people are using it, you know, and there's a board here with the numbers which show how successful it is. But you can see it with your own eyes. If you come down here, loads of people on bikes, and it just works because the infrastructure is up to scratch. And I'm a big fan of getting around on your bike, you know. I've been doing a lot of stuff out in the countryside, but see, if you're nipping into town, just jump the bike. It's magic. Don't need to worry about parking. It's the quickest way to do it, guarantee. Quicker than driving, quicker than the bus, quicker than the train. It's absolutely the best way to get around. And you know what? It's good for you. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's free, but it's pretty cheap by comparison. Buses cost an absolute fortune in Glasgow. It's a total rip-off. So jump on your bike. It's an absolutely brilliant way to get around. And you experience the city, you know. You get a chance to stop whatever you want. It's no hassle, you know, parking up or anything like that. It's just brilliant. So if you've not done it before, give it a shot. It's a great way to get around the city. I'm thinking of a great book I read by David Byrne, you know, from Talking Heads, The Bicycle Diaries. He goes around the world, and wherever he goes on tour, he tries to get out on his bike in whatever city he's pitching up in. I think he even takes like his own folding bike so that he's got his wheels ready to go. And he wrote a book, it's a good few years ago now, but I picked up a copy called The Bicycle Diaries. And he writes really well about how cycling is the best way to get to know a city. You know, you're seeing it in the open air, you're seeing it at your own pace. You can cover a fair bit of ground without getting exhausted and really kind of soak it up. And he writes really, really well about that. So if you've not read it, check out The Bicycle Diaries by David Byrne. Cracking book. And it kind of says everything that I feel about cycling in the city. Just how it brings a city to life and how it's a great way to get around. And honestly, who wants to be stuck in a car in the city? It's a miserable thing to do. Totally miserable. Whereas cycling will put a smile on your face. Guarantee it. But it certainly helps if you've got a nice, safe, segregated path to keep you away from the traffic and give you a chance to get to your destination in one piece. Anyway, that's us here at the start of the cycle lane. We're going to head down and head along Victoria Road. Always a brilliant feeling to speed past some traffic stuck at the lights. Nothing stopping you when you're on a bike. You can always get past and keep moving. It's one of the best things, you know. The journey time on a bike is really predictable because nothing can really stop you. So you're always kind of travelling at the same speed. Doesn't matter what time of day or you know what the traffic conditions are like. It's really predictable. So that's us at the top of Victoria Road, and I can tell you there was a lot of outcry when they talked about putting in the cycle lanes here. Oh, it's going to ruin the street, oh, businesses are going to suffer, all the usual pish. And I mean, if you take a look at Vicky Road now compared to how it was 10, 15 years ago, the place has been transformed, and I believe that's in no small part down to the cycle lanes coming in. You know, people are more likely to stop. You know, there's all these cafes opened up. It's hipster central down here these days. And, you know, young people are riding their bikes and they're coming here and spending money. So the place feels like it's on the up after many, many years of being a bit, well, shabby is putting it kindly, you know. It was in a pretty poor state. It's so much better now. And the cycle path is really good. It's still a busy street, you know, there's people crossing, there's vans unloading, there's all kinds of stuff going on, you know, people walking in the cycle lane and all that stuff. But you know what, you just need to slow down a wee bit and you're going to be fine. Even if you go slowly along the cycle lane, look at this guy. Red light. I bet cyclists go through red lights all the time. Aye, but not at that fucking speed. Give me a break. Anyway, where was I? You just need to slow down. And I can guarantee, even if you're going slow on the bike, you're still going faster than a bus or a car. So what's not to like? So let's see what's happening on Vicky Road.
Downtown to get some petrol today. Oh, I didn't get very far. I got cut off cause I got too much to say. Oh, I forgot my car. So I walked uptown to catch the 2 o'clock post and dropped my wages in the bag. Checked for in a letterbox and went to the coast. The postman said I need a plane transplant. Slowly but surely I'm losing my mind. Slowly but surely our brains get left.
A road down the Gorbals. Raising Head still celebrating the championship this year. And this place has been transformed, it really has. Great cycle lane down past the Citizens Theatre and then over the bridge into town. What a difference, honestly. You used to have to kind of do battle with the buses down here. You know, it was like they thought you were doing a favour by put you in a bus lane with the taxi drivers and the bus drivers, the biggest psychopaths on the road. So you weren't really feeling all that safe. Look at this boy doing a nice track stand. Not too bad. Still need to do a bit of practice before I can carry that off. Good effort.
Surely our brains get left behind as I go. Oh, oh, like your phone the plumber to fix.
So we're on Clyde Street and we're just going to cut up towards St Enoch. That area is all pedestrianised. And it's a kind of shared use zone. So cyclists do have the right to cycle here, all the way up Buchanan Street. But obviously it gets busy and people don't really like, pedestrians don't really like sharing the space with cyclists, which I can understand, especially, you know, I'm not going to talk about the delivery guys as cyclists, they're delivery guys and they're riding, for the most part, illegal bikes. So let's not talk about them as cyclists. This is a shared use part of the city. But I mean, wait till you see Buchanan Street and tell me if you'd be happy cycling up here. It's kind of chaotic.
The boiler by the outside wall took 2 days to get her cartridge out of the sticks, just to say there's no oil. But now I notice and I'm starting to shake. I can't remember my brother's second name. My knees are shaking from the pills.
Right, that's enough of Buchanan Street for me. It just gets busier and busier. Check it out up there. So I'm going to nip onto the road, St Vincent Street. I mean, you can do it, but you need to go so slowly. It's not really worth your while. So back onto the road for me.
Things don't seem the same. Slowly but surely, I'm losing my mind. Slowly but surely, my brains get left behind as I
So no lanes coming up here. Not sure if there's an easier way to do it or a better way to do it. There maybe is, and I don't know it yet. But that's the thing, getting into the city centre is okay. See, once you're in the city centre, you need to kind of carve out your route and know exactly where you're going and avoid the worst of it. I mean, this isn't terrible, but you know, it can be pretty bad. Parking, not a problem. Right to the door, no hassle. Here we go. So that's us up in Bath Street in the city centre. I'm trying to think how long that might have taken if I'd jumped on a bus or even the train and then walked up here and everything else. And drive and forget about it. Would have been a total pain. But the bike, magic. Plus it's not pushing down. But even a bit of rain shouldn't stop you, you know? That's why they make jackets and overshoes and stuff like that. It's not all about getting out in the countryside. Sometimes a bit of urban cycling is good fun as well. And it's all good exercise, you know? Imagine sitting in the car all the time, what that does for you. Not very much. Whereas getting on the bike gives you a chance to get the old heart pumping, get the blood circulating, get the legs turning, and I don't know what's going on in your system, endorphins or something. But I can guarantee you're always going to feel better, whether you're arriving at work, you're ready to take on the day, or whether you're cycling home. You get a wee bit of an energy boost after a day in the office or whatever it is you work. By the time you come home, you feel brand new. So, here's to cycling. Here's to cycling infrastructure. Get it done right and you can revolutionise a city. and how people use it and get around. Glasgow's some good examples, still a long way to go, but some good examples. So don't listen to the naysayers and the clickbait rages. They just want to piss and moan. There's a lot of good things happening, and it's up to us to go out and use the infrastructure that's been built. Just going to come along Sucky Hall Street because it's another place in Glasgow that people are always complaining about. But let's take a look at what the reality is. With this cycle lane up the west end of Sucky Hall Street. Check this out.
All good things come to an end. Time beckons me to.
And then check this out. You come up from the Theatre Royal there at the top of Hope Street. Turn the corner at Cowcaddens. And look at that. Absolutely phenomenal. Big wide cycle lane. Properly segregated. Fantastic. Total pleasure to cycle this. And I think that goes under the motorway up Garscube Road. You know, anyone would be happy to cycle this. Let's take a look and see how it proceeds.
All good things come to an end. All things must end. Tell me you love me 'cause it's making me sad. I don't believe in some kids, I can't stop my head. A nice home will keep me back in the mind. No deep down you'll be glad. Can I remember what they gave me for love? I can't remember what I came here for. I'm tired of listening, no, I'll pay you up front. But make sure.
Now we're back in the road, but at least there's roadworks going on. Sign of something happening. Yep, that looks like a new cycle lane going in there as well. So that's encouraging. Coming down to George Square, under renovation.
Slowly but surely, I'm losing my mind. Slowly but surely, my brain's get left behind as I grow.
Certainly not the easiest at the moment. Avoid George Square, whatever you do. That's a nightmare. But hopefully good things ahead. This is what puts people off cycling in the cities. No protection from the traffic. Buses, taxis, aggressive drivers, impatient people. You know, it just doesn't work. But the actual city centre, maybe they're just working on it and creeping in from south to north, south in the north. And the city centre will be the last bit to get done. but it really needs some work. Because getting in and out of town is okay, but once you're in the city centre, pretty bad. So there we are, a wee spin on Glasgow cycle lanes, what you might call the good, the bad and the ugly, but I think the good is just about outweighing the ugly or the bad, you know. There's certainly lots of good things happening, and this stretch along the side of Queen's Park is definitely up there with the good. And what a difference it makes to have that safe infrastructure and to encourage you to jump the bike and get around. It's good for the heart, good for the soul, good for the legs, good for the environment, good for the wallet. So it's just it's good all round. So if you've not done it, give it a go. You might be surprised at how much better it is and how much safer it is. So, no excuses. Until the next time, cheers.